Hello everyone, and welcome to the April 14th update for Captain Stardust. This week we had 17 commits from 4 different contributors, which brings our lifetime commits to 130 from 8 lifetime contributors, and we just finished up week 6 of 21. This week we had Neil come in and add a minimap component to our minimap in the lower left-hand corner, so that way it updates in real time as the player is moving or as the enemies are moving. Ian came in and added a low-poly tree that we'll see in our new Lincoln City here in just a second. Andy had a very busy week where he added meshes for the cop, the masked robber, the suited man, and the woman. He added a walking blend animation as well as collision knockdowns for the city person blueprint. He also added a sidewalk blueprint, and then he added behaviors for the city person blueprint to walk and find sidewalks as well as run away from robbers. I went through and added an array for that city person to pull from one of the random meshes that Andy had made, as well as tweaked the mugger mesh blueprint to match with the masked robber mesh. I added 4 different warehouses and textures, added 4 different bridges, and then added detail across the 3 different islands, so we are almost done with the art. So let's jump on over to the game. First, I wanted to look at the different meshes that Andy had made, as well as look at their different behaviors. So over here, we can see we have a generic male, generic woman, and then another generic man. But if we were to play it again, we can see that those are updated and they are random. Let's see if we can grab a suited man in here. There we go. There's a nice blend of them. So we have the walking woman, the walking man, and then the walking suited man. And then you can also see once the masked robber, evidenced by the mask on their face, sees me, they will start to run. And if they see the citizens, they will start to run away from them. But once they are out of view of the masked person, then they will return to their walking ways. And if I were to try to get rid of this person here, there we go. The people will start to walk back to the sidewalk with no interruptions. My favorite part of these people is you can just walk into them and then they will ragdoll out of the way before fixing themselves on the sidewalk again. So that is a neat little component. Thank you so much for that, Andy. So let's jump on over to New Lincoln City and what's cooking in the city itself. So we've added a little bit more detail here. So we've added roads along the way so we can kind of see how everything is blocked together. You can see Ian's different trees that he has added to the project. If you change the size and scale and shape and rotate them, then they all look very different. We quarantined off different blocks so that way it's a bit more organized of a structure. So we have the different houses on the right island over here. We added a couple different styles of bridges. So like we have suspension bridges, we have arched bridges, we have cable bridges, we have like a suspension bridge over here. And then we have, it's supposed to be an arch bridge, but it's a little bit short, but you can see that down here. So we have that across the city. We also went through and added up at a couple of different intersections, a couple of streetlights down here. And then on the far left of the island, we added our different warehouse buildings. So we have like some spots for garages, so that way people can work in like a factory setting, as well as a factory way up here in the top left. So we still have a couple more buildings that we need to flesh out here, but it is really coming together. These roads are just wide enough to fit 2 different cars, and I got through about 75% of it before I realized I'm going to need sidewalks, so I'm going to need to restructure that a little bit as well. I also wanted to look at the minimap that Neil has updated down here. So if I were to play, you can see in our bottom left-hand corner, the minimap, the fast travel icons are noted by like that person walking animation, or not animation, the icon. We have a like a stabilized sentry unit as like our red enemy in that bottom corner, and then we have our sentry unit as like the green face in the bottom left-hand corner there. And then you can also see that if I were to spawn in an enemy, like a flying turret right there, you can see the green is now on the map and it is following me wherever I am trying to go. So I believe that is everything for in the game this week. let's jump on over to the Vaikunja board. So in this next week here, we're going to wrap up the buildings in the city. We are so close to knocking out the rest of those. I have one last task for the sentry, or the grounded unit, where they are going to throw things at the enemy. I want the muggers, now that they are following the player, I want them to be able to attack the player, as well as run to a designated target. I want the cars, if they're picked up or hit with energy, to have some type of damage element to it. And then we'll wrap up the fast travel functionality, as well as clicking on the map, the player can travel to that point. So if we're looking just a little bit further here, we're going to have plenty of programming work for traffic systems. So we've got a good start on that. Thank you for that, Andy. But we also have the cars that are going to need to be built on top of that, as well as working on our UI, because soon we're going to be working on the story elements of the game, now that all the key components are there. Our audio tasks are also backing up just a little bit, and then if anybody wants to try some low-level bugs, we have those starting to pop up as well. So there are still lots of ways to get involved, but as it stands right now, that is our weekly update for Captain Stardust.